What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another Manchester City daily summer transfer update, where I said in yesterday's update it's been a bit quiet. I'm expecting it in the next 24 to 48 hours to really pop off and explode. And that's exactly what's happened here today, with us getting a here we go and closing in on signing more players. So before I do crack on with today's transfer update, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do subscribe to my channel. We're now on that push to 45,000 subscribers, as we've surpassed 44,000 subscribers. So thank you everybody for the continued support. Now just over 900 subs away from 45k, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news here on YouTube, so do subscribe. It is free. Social media links are in the description if you want to go and check out my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description, so if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. We smashed 600 likes once more on yesterday's update, so let's go for 600 likes again. Any help towards that would be great. Get your thoughts as well in the comments below, and yeah, let's crack on with things. So we've got no contract news. We're going to dive straight on in with the outs. We've got the latest on a City staff member, James Smith. Now, The Athletic have said that Manchester City's director for scouting and recruitment is a top target for Everton for a similar job. I presume he's going to have a pay rise at Everton, and although a deal hasn't been agreed as of yet, Everton are very much interested in bringing James Smith over from Manchester City, which means Man City would be looking for another member of staff to add to their backroom staff, with plenty of backroom staff movement in this off-season so far. Not really seen anything like this before, so here we are. Now moving on, let's speak about a player. We've got the latest on Jack Grealish, and Steve Kay has said that Tottenham Hotspur are exploring a deal for Jack Grealish this summer. He says that Spurs reckon 38 to 43 million pounds as a transfer fee would be enough to make this transfer happen. And the fact that Tottenham Hotspur now have Champions League football, they feel like they've got a real strong case to try and attract Jackie G to the capital. Newcastle are also interested. They also have Champions League football and the money to offer Jack Grealish as well. Manchester City are interested in selling Jack Grealish this summer. So it all comes down to, where does Jack Grealish want to go, and how much of a wage decrease is he willing to take? Because I can't see Spurs nor Newcastle willing to pay over £300,000 a week, which is what Jack Grealish is believed to be on at Manchester City. We'll see. Spurs are pushing hardest right now to try and sign Jack Grealish and exploring the chance to make it happen. Newcastle just interested, and as we know with transfers, teams being interested in teams actually making an offer to very different things, and even teams making an offer and teams showing the money are two very different things as well. So I'll keep my eyes and ears open with that. Now let's move on to the ins, and we were speaking before about backroom staff. Really interesting, this one. Let's speak about James French. Now Manchester City are set to add James French to their backroom staff as an analyst who specialises in analysis, set pieces and opposition. Currently works for Liverpool. He worked there under Jurgen Klopp and under Arne Slot as well. And Manchester City are set to nab him from Liverpool. He's been with them since 2012, into his 13th year working with Liverpool, yet he's interested in making the switch over to Manchester City, and I find that really interesting, along with Man City taking Jurgen Klopp's assistant at Liverpool, Pep Lijnders, over to Manchester City as Pep Guardiola's new assistant manager as well. So City very much targeting a Liverpool philosophy to try and shake things up in terms of Pep Guardiola, as he's looking to find his love for football once more, try and keep him on his toes and try and explore different new creative ideas in the form of changing around his backroom staff, which is why we're seeing so much change in terms of staff members at Manchester City. And this piece of information in terms of James French, really interesting, along with Pep Lijnders. This information's come from James Pearce, who's very reliable with information close to Liverpool Football Club. Now moving on, let's speak about players. Firstly, we want to speak about an academy player called Caelan-Kole Cadamarteri. I hope I've said his name correctly. Now he's an 18-year-old English striker at Sheffield Wednesday. Had a very impressive season in terms of the under-18 season. Scored 24 goals in 23 games for Sheffield Wednesday Wednesday's under-18 side, so much so that it's attracted the interest of Man City. And Man City were interested back in as was hitting into spring back in February, March time, in bringing in Caelan-Kole. Manchester City have now firmed up that interest by not only making an offer to Sheffield Wednesday to bring him in, but they've managed to agree a deal now with all parties to make this transfer happen. So I'm not under the impression that Caelan-Kole is a professional football player as of yet. I imagine City will want to get him onto a professional contract, so it does mean that compensation would need to be paid to Sheffield Wednesday, or alternatively they could agree on a transfer fee. As long as all parties are happy with the transfer, then there isn't too many problems. It's when they can't agree on a deal and the transfer happens anyway is when compensation has to be paid, and that compensation is done through the legal terms and through the legal chambers to make that happen, rather than agreements being put in place. As far as what I can read into this one, this information come via Fabrizio Romano. It looks like all parties have agreed to this, so it would see Caelan-Kole come over to Manchester and slot into the City Football Academy, the CFA. Very impressive striker, one to keep our eyes on for the future. Now moving on to players around the first team squad, we've got an update on Tino Livramento, the 22-year-old English homegrown fullback over at Newcastle United. He can cover either flank, both-footed of course. Manchester City apparently though think he may just be too expensive this summer. Newcastle have Champions League football, they don't want to sell, and a move here is described as very complicated, with City struggling to make this transfer happen. Mike McGrath is the person that gave the information about Tino Livramento, who did give a quick update on Andrea Cambiaso as well, and said that things have slowed down when it comes to Andrea Cambiaso, the other fullback who's versatile, who can cover either flank, who is also both-footed, with Manchester City slowing things down because they've got reservations over his injuries over the last 12 months. But it is interesting to see Cambiaso's name being mentioned once more. He does say that Man City haven't materialised anything in terms of Cambiaso since we were being linked back in the January transfer window, and we are struggling when it comes to Tino Livramento as well. And it is believed that Hugo Viana has been put in charge of finding a new right back for Manchester City this summer. I do have a video coming out tomorrow where I speak more about fullbacks and I speak more about the potential homegrown problem, because Man City targeting Livramento because they're needing homegrown players to be brought in. Man City closing in on Tijjani Reijnders, Rayan Cherki and Rayan Ait-Nouri means that it's going to send us over our non-homegrown quota, which means Man City will have to sell non-homegrown quota players at the moment, and all the players that have been linked with the exit door are all homegrown players, not non-homegrown players, which is causing some complications when it comes to Man City's transfer business. And bringing in Tijjani Reijnders, Rayan Cherki and Rayan Ait-Nouri is going to further complicate things. I go in more detail in tomorrow's video where I speak about the homegrown problem, but when it comes to homegrown players leaving and replacing homegrown players with other homegrown players, things are quite simple. So it would make sense that if Kyle Walker's going to be leaving and we want to sign a new right back, you sign a homegrown right back. If John Stones leaves, then you sign a new homegrown centre back or a homegrown defensive midfielder who can cover in both spots. Jack Grealish leaves, you sign a homegrown player who can play out wide or through the middle, depending on what City want to be looking for. But that's the situation that we find ourselves in right now. A big summer, lots to sort out. We do need to start moving our focus towards outgoings in particular, once we've got these free transfers that City are working on right now over the line. And speaking of them free transfers, let's start first with Tijjani Reijnders. Positive news on him. The 26-year-old Dutch central midfielder from AC Milan, Fabrizio Romano, was reporting yesterday evening after I put my transfer update out. Typical, get an update after it was a bit quiet yesterday. But anyway, he said that personal terms were all sorted, it was getting there and it would be getting the here we go soon. Manchester City and AC Milan last night were sorting out the final parts to the transfer fee, ready to complete the transfer. He does say that City also closing in on Rayan Cherki as well. And then CalcioMercato have been quite reliable with what they've been reporting on, to be fair, over the last couple of weeks in terms of Tijjani Reijnders. They said that a deal could be agreed and sorted by close of play today, so they were very accurate with what they were saying yesterday night in terms of that. They were saying that it was going to be a fee worth 70 million euros all in, looking at just under 59 million pounds at 58.92 million pounds in today's currency exchange rate. Again, pretty spot on with that. Marzio had echoed that and said we're looking at a deal worth 70 million euros, as does Fabrizio Romano, who says that everything all in is 70 million euros, and he did give it the here we go. Now, David Ornstein has said that it's 55 million euros as an upfront fee, with the rest being paid in add-ons, so 15 million pounds in achievable add-ons. We're looking at 46.29 million pounds as the transfer fee to bring in the best midfielder in Serie A from last season. That's a brilliant deal for Manchester City, and then there's going to be 12.63 million pounds in achievable add-ons included on that as well. Next steps though for this transfer will be medical and contract signings to ready to complete the transfer. The Netherlands are away from home in their World Cup qualifier against Finland on Saturday, so I imagine that Man City will want to try over the coming 24 to 48 hours to get everything sorted in terms of his medical and contract signing. It may mean that City may need to travel over to his Netherlands camp, whether that be in the Netherlands or in Finland, wherever it may be, or if Man City can get permission from the Netherlands camp to bring Tijjani Reijnders over for a few hours ready to do the transfer, to sign his contract, do his medical, and Man City's social media team could do a bit of their filming through the course of a few hours, get of course their first interview sorted and in place and ready to for Tijjani Reijnders to become a Man City player ahead of the Club World Cup, with Man City wanting to get things sorted by June 10th. It may just be a case that City just do a very simple medical and contract signing, some pictures, and just announce it and say we'll do our social media side of things once the players come back to us just before the Club World Cup, heading into the latter parts of next week or into the early parts of the week after. So we'll have to wait and see. CalcioMercato have said that Tijjani Reijnders is going to be signing a 5-year contract with Man City, which is worth 7 million euros a year or 5.88 million pounds a year, which works out at 113,000 pounds a week at Manchester City, which sends him towards the bottom of the pay scale, which for a high quality player, quite surprising, and I don't think it'll be very long before Tijjani Reijnders is working his way up that pay scale. A high quality number 8 central midfielder being added by Manchester City. Now, moving on, we've got the latest on Morgan Gibbs-White, because Alex Crook has said that with Man City now set to sign Tijjani Reijnders from AC Milan, it does make a move for Morgan Gibbs-White this summer highly unlikely. Morgan Gibbs-White is a 25-year-old English central midfielder and homegrown from Nottingham Forest, and I think a lot here depends on homegrown players leaving Man City, and if we have space for more homegrown players to be brought in, as to whether we feel like we need to bolster our midfield with another midfielder coming in. Again, depends on outgoings. The Independents say that Morgan Gibbs-White is more likely to stay at Nottingham Forest this summer rather than leave. But again, it all depends. Summer's long. Man City end up selling some players. A couple of Man City's unks end up leaving in our midfield, and all of a sudden space opens up that we want some fresh energy and some new ideas and a homegrown player being brought in, and all of a sudden Morgan Gibbs-White goes to the top of the list, and the fact that he's got 2 years left on his deal means there is the potential for this deal to be affordable for City if there is room for negotiation. Right now though, Man City not so keen on Morgan Gibbs-White because they need to focus on the outgoings. Now, moving on, we've got the latest on Rayan Cherki, and Ben Jacobs has said that talks are now progressing between Manchester City and Lyon when it comes to Rayan Cherki, the 21-year-old French attacking midfielder and winger. Lyon are wanting more than £25 million for him this summer, with some suggesting that Lyon want to go as high as £34 million. It's being confirmed that there is definitely no release clause set on this, but there is a gentleman's agreement, an agreement in place, a verbal agreement between player and club, so Man City won't be getting ripped off in this transfer. It will be somewhere between 25 and 34 million pounds to make this transfer happen. Man City are working on whether it's going to be closer to 25 million pounds or 34 million pounds, but Man City very much in the ascendancy with a desire to try and get this transfer sorted, and I imagine the plan will be in the next 24 to 48 hours to get that agreement in place, of course, with Lyon ready for Rayan Cherki, that at some point during his international duty with France, that he would come over and become a Manchester City player as well by June 10th, ready for the Club World Cup. So it's very much looking like this is advancing, not as advanced as Tijjani Reijnders, but isn't far behind. And Fabrizio Romano has said this morning that verbal agreements are in place between Rayan Cherki, his camp, and Manchester City over personal terms. So that hurdle now is done. Manchester City are going to be launching their first official bid in the coming hours for Rayan Cherki. First bids will normally be rejected, but they will progress the deal, they will negotiate, and hopefully second or third time lucky at some point towards the latter parts of this week we'll get that agreement in place. We'll get the here we go from Fab Rom, and we'll be good to go with both Tijjani Reijnders and Rayan Cherki ahead of the Club World Cup. And I wouldn't rule out another Rayan joining before the Club World Cup as well, in the form of Rayan Ait-Nouri. Now, Ben Jacobs has given an update on Rayan Ait-Nouri, the 24-year-old French-born Algerian international at Wolves who plays as a left wing-back at Manchester City, and now also working to try and finalise the final details ahead of making an official approach to Wolves ahead of this transfer. Manchester City are still working on speaking with Rayan Ait-Nouri's camp to get personal terms all agreed before they want to begin them discussions with Wolverhampton Wanderers. They believe that Wolves are looking for around £40 to £45 million for Ait-Nouri this summer. There's no word on how much Man City are prepared to pay as of yet, but it is crazy to me that we've got the potential that Rayan Ait-Nouri, Rayan Cherki and Tijjani Reijnders could all be pulled in for roughly around the same price as what Liverpool are going to be paying Bayer Leverkusen when it comes to Florian Wirtz, who City were being heavily linked with just a few weeks back. So it's crazy now that City are advancing all of these players, and there is the possibility that we could get all this done before the Club World Cup. We need these registrations done by June 10th, 6 days time, so it's going to be a very busy 6 days for me. Strap yourselves in, guys, it's going to be a roller coaster ride. You want to stay up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news here on YouTube, so do subscribe if you haven't already. I do my YouTube shorts if you want to check out the quick updates that I do with players that are happening on a regular basis, where I'm speaking about the likes of Rayan Cherki and Tijjani Reijnders as the news was coming out instantly, so do stay tuned for that. I cover the same stuff over on my Instagram and TikTok. You can find the links to my social media stuff, they're all in the description, along with my X. If you want to go and follow me on there, that would be much appreciated. Also, don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up. 600 likes is the aim on today's transfer update, and finally do let me know your thoughts as well in the comments below, and I'll see you religiously tomorrow for the next daily Man City transfer update. So I've been JSGC, thank you everyone for watching, hope everyone is safe and well, peace, ciao for now.